Good morning, everyone. Whoa, that's loud. Good morning. So we are going to begin our session today. I'm Kate Pandolfo. I'm from Ocean County College, and it is my privilege to be able to facilitate this particular workshop. We have a few housekeeping items. Christine mentioned it to you. Please be sure to complete your advising and technology survey. And if you want continuing education credits, please be sure to complete that form as well. All right? So, those of us in education, we always like to get our continuing credits, don't we? So it has been quite a morning so far, hasn't it? Don't you love that idea of hope pathways? I thought that was a cool idea. And that's what we do in education, right? We create hope and we help our students to move from here to there. And we want them all to have the kind of future that is possible. So that's what we do in education. We create possibilities and help our students learn how to do that. This morning, we are doing, our workshop is about career and technical education. So we have representatives from the New Jersey Department of Education, Office of Career Readiness, as well as Mercer County Technical Schools. So it is my privilege and honor to introduce to you our speakers today. Ms. Lori Howard, who is from the Office of Career Readiness from the New Jersey Department of Education, and Kathy Paquette, who is also from the New Jersey Department of Education, and another Lori Perlo, who is the admissions officer at Mercer County Technical Schools. So we turn it over to our speakers.
Thank you. Welcome and thank you all for being here today. We saw the room was huge and we're like, okay, just take a breath. So it's harder sometimes to do something interactive when you have such a large room. So throughout the presentation, feel free, if you have questions or thoughts or things that you'd like to share, feel free to do so. So we're here today. I just wanted to get a little idea about people that are in the audience. How many are here from secondary school districts? Okay, from those secondary schools, are there anybody from county vocational school districts? Okay, and so for post-secondary and secondary, how is your knowledge of CTE? Who knows what CTE is? Okay, perfect. So it works out perfectly for us. So what we're going to be covering today is talking about career and technical education. We're going to give you a nice idea of what career and technical education is. Aaron and Dr. Nesbitt, they did go over a lot of things that we were going to talk about, that we're still going to talk about, but I really think it's going to show that all of us at the State Department of Education, Labor Workforce Development, Commission of Higher Education, which includes the New Jersey County Council of Community Colleges, we're all aligned and all really saying the same thing, and we really want to make sure that we are going to be saying that today. So one of the things I know when you guys are counselors and advisors, you're probably, from a lot of times, dealing with students, returning students to community colleges, people who've been out of the workforce, and a lot of times people just don't know what to do. So we hope by the end of the presentation today, they'll have some ideas on what to do. We can talk as a group about sharing some of the things that you might be doing at your school that are already working. The Office of Career Readiness and Department of Education, we're really focused on making sure that we are aligning with the Department of Education's mission of making sure that all students are prepared for college and career, and no matter where that student lives, that they have opportunities to pursue further education. Our office handles the administration of the Perkins Grant, which does fund CTE programs in county colleges as well as high schools. We handle career ready practices in Standard 9 for high school. That's all about 21st century life and careers, personal financial literacy, et cetera. We have a career equity resource center, and I'll be going over that with you a little bit. I feel like we have a lot we do in the office. I can't remember everything. We have career cluster leads, so we have everything really focused in our office about how can we support school districts and engaging students to have relevant programming. New Jersey's 7 key industries, these are determined by the Labor Workforce Development. So these are areas in New Jersey that they feel we have a great need from our employers, and we want to make sure that we're going to be having an increased workforce. There are definitely gaps in New Jersey in meeting the needs of employers, And these 7 key industries are where we're trying to focus and align our different programs that we're pushing for students. There's a link on there, and after the presentation, there's a website address so you can actually send if you're interested in getting the PowerPoint. We can share that with you. But we have a big push in New Jersey to focus on STEM. As you know, we have a lot of pharmaceutical companies, but also advanced manufacturing, TDL, with Newark and the ports in that area, and Amazon making a lot of different warehouses in the state, and healthcare is also a huge one. And then hospitality, we have talent networks. Let me go to the next slide. Sorry, I'm talking, they're kind of related. Talent networks associated with each of the key industries. And just for an example, the leisure, hospitality, and retail, we have a talent network. The needs for hospitality and tourism in the southern area is really focused on the Atlantic City area, and then you move up to the north, you're closer to New York. So it's really, these talent networks are people at labor workforce development, working with business and industry, secondary and post-secondary to develop, kind of coming together as a partnership to think how they're going to reach the needs to help make sure that we have a viable workforce in New Jersey. So for the shared vision for the future of CTE, we are part of the Advanced CTE organization, which is a group of state directors of career and technical education. And a couple years ago, they first had a vision in terms of where we wanted to move CTE towards. That's when we started with the Learning That Works for New Jersey campaign. But now they really have come together to figure out what their shared vision for CTE is. So we've learned over those last couple of years that we need to really do further engagement with employers. But our first main thing is making sure that our students are engaged, our students are really focused on what they need to do. The students have to have something that's personalized for them. So a lot of times when you're doing the advisement, for students to have that one-on-one connection and feel that there's someone that they can go to, it actually does help the student feel like someone cares about them and helps with that engagement. Another thing for that principle is really aligning all the workforce systems, education, and everything to make sure that everybody's working on that common goal. And as Aaron mentioned, that's where we have many paths, one future, and we are all committed to making sure that we're working towards the 65 by 25. So this is a great quote Kathy has found in some of the different literature we have. But just really just to take back, and think, like, even when I think back when I was in school, if I had the opportunities, if I knew then what I know now. Sometimes with the counselors in my school, if you were the very, very highest student, you were ranked 1 to 5, you got tons of attention. If you were the student who needed attention for, special needs, or you had different problems, you got the attention, but the students in the middle didn't get that attention. So we want to make sure that we're going to be giving resources to help all students, so people know that there's all different sorts of learners, and just if everybody really had that same type of support, just imagine where everybody could be and the potential that they could reach. So in terms of addressing these, New Jersey does have access to high quality education in the state. We have to make sure that more people are able to reach that. So when we talk about the community colleges, sometimes the completion rates aren't as high, so students may get there, but why aren't they completing? We'll talk about that a little later on. In terms of getting the skills that they need at high school level, are we providing them with programs that are relevant to industry? That's another focus of our office. Really working together, again, point 3 really touches again on many past, one future. So I'm not going to keep saying it, but I really want everyone to know that we really are trying to focus on working together. We know that there's gaps. Sometimes we'll see something that labor is doing maybe a year or so ago, and it's like, wait, we're doing that at the Department of Ed. Like, how did they not know? How do we not know? So we really want to stop that, because it wastes a lot of time and energy if we're both doing the same thing. If the students know what their interests are, the students know what's available to them, they feel more empowered. They feel like they can actually make choices. They feel like they have what they need. So we want to make sure that we're really providing opportunities for students to do that through their CTE program, through any guidance things that they receive at their high school or post-secondary. And also for any program, no matter the level, we want to make sure that people that are teaching those courses are knowledgeable about what they're teaching. Sometimes what happens, you get into the classroom, you've been there a long time, and you're basing it off of information that you had when you were in the industry. So we in the office would like to do more professional development with school districts, and I know we have people working with the County Council of Community Colleges to help in related to Perkins funding, to think things that they can do. But there are events that we're offering for secondary teachers for industry needs. If you have people at your community college who might want to attend, where our contact information will be at the end, just contact us, because we think that would be good to have. The more people that can learn from industry, the better it is for the students and better it is for the state. When we were applying for a New Skills for Youth grant, it was part of J.P. Morgan Chase for phase 1. The John J. Helder Center actually did a survey in New Jersey, looked at our CTE programs at secondary and post-secondary. They looked at enrollment of students, all sorts of data, and they really realized that career awareness was one of the top things that we needed to focus on. So stop segmenting, really looking at it as a path from middle grades all the way through an adult. They saw that we don't have a lot of dual enrollment articulation agreements. That's something that high schools say they have problems with. Colleges have problems in terms of making sure the high school curriculum is meeting their needs. So that's something that, again, we really want to try to improve those relationships. We know it's hard because every college is different. Everyone has a different situation. So we had to figure out ways to work within that college and also to make sure that the school districts know what they need to know. So if a school district is offering a course and they don't have that industry knowledge, they don't have the experts involved in development of the curriculum, it's very understandable why the community college does not want to offer their articulation. So we have to make sure that we're preparing our high schools and that we're also working with community colleges to figure out what the barriers may be for that. Comprehensive high schools in New Jersey, a lot of times they have issues or problems, and they're valid, with scheduling for career and technical education programs. So that's something, again, we really have to work together and find out ways to address that. And we know that for the CTE programs, the students have to go through a sequence of courses for a reason, so we really want to make sure that they're completing. Enrollment in CTE programs for secondary throughout the state has been on a downward trend. What we have been doing, that's not the next slide, sorry. What we have been doing is focusing on improving the programs that we offer. In the past, we believe that many people thought CTE was a place where you threw the students that no one cared about. But we care about all the students. We make sure all students have the chance to succeed. So it's not for us to come and approve a program where they're teaching the students how to, do a type of letter for three years. That's just not, it's going to cut it. So some schools are not happy with the changes we make, but we're really looking at the end result, is making sure it's relevant and engaging for the students. So now I'm going to turn it over to Kathy.
To put that mic down. So thank you, Lori. In terms of what is CTE, or career and technical education, I just want to take an audience poll of what word comes to mind when you hear career and technical education, or CTE. And it won't be, okay, yep. Academies, okay. Work experience during high school. These are excellent. Anyone else? Career readiness. Thank you. So thank you so much for those wonderful answers. I was hoping that we would have answers that were more in tune to what our office is all about, and they were. I do have our next slide that shows the difference between what career and technical education is now to maybe some of the old thoughts about what it was a long time ago. So I'm glad that we're headed in the right direction as far as that is concerned. But career and technical education, it provides students with the academic and technical skills, knowledge and training that's necessary to succeed in future careers and to become lifelong learners. So we're focused on career pathways with career and technical education. We don't want the education to just stop at the end of high school. We want that education to continue. And how do we do this? We do it through cutting-edge, rigorous, and relevant CTE programs. Where youth and adults, so secondary and post-secondary, are prepared for a wide range of high-wage, high-skill, and high-demand careers. The last three is extremely important when you think of career and technical education, because we are preparing people now for the jobs of the future. So that way we're always trying to be on the cutting edge of what's next. And that's why partnerships are so important when you think of career and technical education. This is just a graphic of what we think of in our office of career and technical education. It's not just the technical skills that you may receive in the classroom. It's all three skills. It's academic skills, employability skills, and the technical skills. And these skills are all fused together. And we're going to go over a little bit more how these skills are developed for a student. So this is the graphic that I was talking to you about a couple minutes ago, and it shows the difference between vocational education and CTE. Back in probably around the 1980s, we had the old vocational education model. And this model was developed for a few students, for a few jobs, probably in 6 to 7 program areas, and these were in lieu of academics. So this is where you're getting into the students that were tracked, to enter career right out of high school, whereas secondary or post-secondary was a choice. With the authorization of the Carl D. Perkins Act in 2006, this is no longer the case. We have what's now called as career and technical education. And this is where we need your help, because we are trying to educate parents, students, teachers, everybody of the new direction of career and technical education, and that it's for all students, and that it's for all careers. We have a model or a framework that we adopted. It's the national model of 16 career clusters. And within this career clusters, there are 79 career pathways that a person can enter into. We integrate academics. Those are the language arts and the math. We believe in applied learning, so that you're applying the language arts and the math while you are learning your technical skills, while you are in the classroom. And we integrate secondary with post-secondary, so it's not an option anymore. If I don't want to go to college, I'm going to take, a class A. Everything is infused together, and it's for all learners. We like to promote dual credit opportunities as much as possible in our CTE programs for students, just for the simple fact that studies have shown that once a student gets over that hurdle, they take that first step towards post-secondary, they're more likely to continue their education. So great recruiting tool for post-secondary institutions, and it's something that we strongly promote. Okay, Lori. Lori's our data expert, so she's going to go over this.
That's all the pressure. I just put the slides together. The expert is really back in the office. This is just going to give some snapshots of what CTE looks like in New Jersey. We currently have about 80,000 students in CTE. Completers are students who actually are finishing the program, so they go through our sequence of 3 courses. Participants are students taking the first course. So you do see that in secondary, we do have to really focus on getting completers. We have a lot of people taking that first entry course, and then they drop off. So it could be a variety of reasons. Maybe the class is not engaging, they're just not into it. So we want to make sure that we're providing our educators with enough resources so they can make that class engaging for students. So the breakout for our total enrollment is between the comprehensive high schools and the county vocational school districts. So the county voc schools have full-time programs where students that are there, are shared time programs where they do a portion at their main home district and then go to the county voc. Comprehensive high schools in the state, we have 97 that are offering career and technical education programs. That number did used to be higher, but through us going through a rigorous reapproval process, focusing more on quality of the program and increasing the rigor, that number has decreased. But we see the numbers are starting to go up a little more now, which is the next slide. I can barely read my eye. Okay. 120,000 was our max in 2007, 2008. And then last year, 2014-15 data, we had about 74,000, and this year we've been going up to 80,000. So we are hoping and we believe that that number is going to keep going up once people realize that CTE is just not the dumping ground. We really want them to make that relation, so when they hear academy, they are thinking CTE. Focusing on what the programs are, what they offer to students, it makes them more engaged. I mean, it's just a better opportunity to really see, I'm taking this because of this. When I speak to my niece, she's currently in high school, 9th grader. So every time I ask her a question, well, how is that? Oh, did you learn anything at school today that was exciting? And I feel a lot of times, she's in a school district that's rated highly, but I feel that there's just not the engagement. So they're there, but they don't really understand why they're there, and I feel like they sometimes do need a bit more guidance for that. Post-secondary, we do have a lot of students in post-secondary. In terms of the ones that are completing, that number, again, is low. So I think the trend that we see is that completion is an issue for both secondary and post-secondary, and we'll have some strategies to help address that as well. So students get there, they're really excited, they're ready to move forward, and then they don't complete. So it could be engagement, it could be a variety of different things in terms of not knowing what they want to do, not sure of the direction they want to take. In high school, they may have not hit a certain level, they thought they were ready, and they got there, and they had fear, and not having, there's a lot of different barriers, which we'll discuss a little later. But I really think it is interesting to see that both secondary and post-secondary are facing that same issue with getting people to complete programs. This pie chart here just breaks down the enrollment of secondary programs by career cluster. And we see that majority in our high schools, either comprehensive and vocational together, we have a lot of arts AV and technology and business management and administration. We really would like to see growth in those key industry areas. So health science for secondary only have about 8%, TDL 4%, STEM 7%, IT, I believe that's right. Oh, it's right in front of me. I can look. 8%. So really, we want to do things in our office, and we have been focused, since we're focused on career cluster leads, we're working with the talent networks, we're actually trying to find ways to find best practices and highlight schools that are already doing a great job to encourage other schools to actually develop programs that are relevant for students so we can increase those numbers. Because that then would also lead to students who will be interested in doing these programs on the post-secondary level. So a lot of schools, or a lot of students are doing the 2 years before they go to 4-year, or going right to 2-year and completing their associates there. But it really would help us to have a nice stream if we have the students interested in high school, went on to community college, and then they ended up in their ultimate career. Community college, we do see health science is great, so that's an excellent way for us to help meet the needs of what our key industry is in the state. But we also don't have a large number of STEM. IT is 7%, which I was surprised to see. I thought that number would be higher. But again, these are talking about students who have completed programs. So health sciences, you in community colleges are doing a great job with that. We want to make sure that we let students know about all the different opportunities that are available amongst the career clusters. Okay, turn back to Kathy. There you go.
So we went over a little bit about what CTE is, where we stand in the state in regards to CTE, how many programs are available to students, some of our completion rates, and we realize, there's a lot more to do. And one way that we can move our students along a career pathway is to identify what the benefits of CTE is, and this way you can communicate these benefits a little bit with the parents and with the student themselves through counseling and advisement sessions. So CTE works for all students. Students are more likely to graduate, that is one of our facts, if they are involved in a CTE program. Students are more engaged in the work that they're performing while they're in their CTE classroom and when they're in their core content classrooms as well. Students achieve in other subjects, so they're relating what they're learning in CTE to what they're learning in their core subjects. Students develop employability skills, and they do this by way of working with industry, internships, job shadowing, all those exciting things that they're learning, these employability skills. Students gain job-specific skills, and that's the technical training that they're receiving while they're in the classroom. This is if you are ever a little bit more interested in CTE, this website, it's ACTE, it's actually an organization, and this is one of the infographics. I'm a big proponent of infographics. I just like the way everything is right there for you, organized neatly. So this infographic is really interesting. 80% of high school students taking both CTE and college prep courses meet college and career readiness goals versus 63 who are in college and career ready through college prep courses alone. So there's one benefit for CTE. 36% of STEM jobs require post-secondary credentials that CTE students can obtain within 2 years of high school graduation. So there's another one. 81% of high school dropouts say relevant, real-world learning opportunities like through CTE would have kept them in school. So, interesting statistics. What are our benefits for learners in CTE? Number one, it enhances the academic achievement by providing that real-world relevance. They're learning real skills, and they're applying them in the classroom and on the job. It provides opportunities to explore multiple pathways. So we hear this a lot. What if I major in health sciences and I realize that I don't like it? Well, what is the takeaway from that for the student? Number one, they learned at an early point that they didn't like health sciences before they went on and spent a lot of money on college for that, right? They also learned the skills, the problem-solving skills, the communication skills, the critical thinking skills while they were in that class. So there's always a positive takeaway, even if it's something that they decide that they're not interested in. It helps relate high-profile careers to real-life situations. Smoother entry into post-secondary education, and that's where we're talking about our dual credit or articulation opportunities. That's, we know that they were more apt to follow that continuum once they're earning the credit while they're in high school. And students can make better career choices. I already talked about that a little bit, where they know what they like and they'll know what they don't like after they're exposed to career and technical education. So I love this graphic. Each day, 7,000 students drop out of school every 26 seconds. This was data that's provided by the National Center for Innovation in Career and Technical Education. So what can we do about it? 81% of dropouts say relevant real-world learning would have kept them in high school. The average national high school graduation rate for students concentrating in CTE programs is 93%. So just, just kind of think about that a little bit, let that settle in, 93%. Students with greater exposure to CTE are more likely to graduate from high school, enroll in 2-year college, be employed, and earn higher wages. And then finally, students are building positive relationships, and they're building positive relationships within industry in their community. And I think the community is probably one of the most important pieces of CTE, because we are building a better community when we're keeping students in school and students are actively engaged and they're learning. The economic impact of dropouts. Each year, dropouts represent more than $320 billion in lost lifetime earning potential. So just imagine. So what are the benefits for teachers? Do we have any teachers in the room? Excellent, we have 2. Curriculum can be tailored to the needs of the community. You can do this through structured learning experiences. If you have community outreach where you're working on a special project with a community member. You can work with members of your community and industry so that you can put students in the workplace. Opportunities to integrate CTE and traditional academics. We're talking about interdisciplinary instruction. So you have the math teacher working with you in health science or in a technology class to deliver that specialized math that may need to take place. Learners are more focused and they're more engaged because they're interested. They have a passion for it. And there's an opportunity to enhance academic achievement for all students. I love this. As a former teacher, this is something I did not want to see in the classroom. This was a look that if I saw one of my students looking like this, it would be okay, quickly let's move, let's change the pace. So more math, science, English, and social studies without relevance won't engage today's students. What can engage them is integrating CTE with the math, the science, the English, and the social studies. Students know that what they're learning is real. You will never hear that question, why do I need to learn this? Well, you need to learn this because this is real life. This is part of a job. Benefits for schools and colleges. You can broaden the scope of existing curricula, encourage coordination among faculty members, and this one I think is really most important, encourage coordination between secondary and post-secondary. Colleges work with the secondary schools, use it as a recruitment tool, right? And reduce the need for remediation. If students are more interested in what they're doing, they'll achieve better. And if they achieve better, the need for remediation will be reduced. So I think that is one of the most important points on that slide. And all of you, career counselors, everyone is a counselor in the room maybe, except for one or two. Connect, if students are interested in what they're doing, they're more motivated to reach higher academic achievement. And if they're interested in what they're doing and they're using applied learning through CTE, it shows the relevance of post-secondary, the importance of post-secondary and lifelong learning. So, and finally, the benefits for workforce development and business. It provides business and industry with a well-qualified workforce, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to give New Jersey, through career pathways, a well-qualified workforce, a pipeline of employees to fulfill the needs of tomorrow for our industry and our business. This is a great picture. What we're seeing here is students who are working in a class, it's a health sciences class, and they are working together. This is what we see in a typical CTE classroom. The students are replicating what the real world looks like. As you can see, not only are they working on a real world project, but they're also dressed like they are in the real world. They're wearing pharmacy technician jackets. So they have the goggles on, the proper gloves. This is what you see in a typical CTE classroom. We have a phrase that we use often, you can't be what you can't see. These students are doing it. So what are SLEs? One way that students can achieve this real-world learning is through structured learning experiences. Is anyone familiar with structured learning experiences in the classroom? Just a couple of you. So as a part of a CTE program, structured learning experiences are built in. This is where students are paid or unpaid. They perform co-curricular, structured, supervised, work-based learning experiences. The examples of these could be job shadowing, internships, volunteer, trying to think of all at the top of my head. There's 6 of them. Paid or unpaid internships. So we have a person in our office, and his job is just dedicated to structured learning experiences, to reaching out to helping school districts, providing training for teachers, counselors, whoever may be interested in learning about SLEs. This is where the real-life learning takes place, and it is such an important piece for students. It not only helps the students build relationships with industry, but it gives them the confidence that what they're learning is important and that they can do it. So as we alluded to previously, question. Absolutely, yes, we will give you the name of the person on, SLE, is it, what's the, we can put it on the slide at the end, just so you have that. We'll type that in for you. So what we alluded to before is that our office is broken up into career clusters, and this is how CTE is organized. So there are 16 career clusters, and within that career cluster, there are 79 programs and pathways. So every career cluster has a career cluster lead. If you are interested in starting a program in accounting, right? Oh, question? Okay, perfect. So if you're interested in developing a program in accounting, for instance, what career cluster do you think that would fall into on the chart? It's kind of a trick question. But it's one or two, right? You're thinking, you're probably tossing around, well, maybe it's business, maybe it's finance. It falls into finance. So you would, if you're interested in starting that accounting program, you go to our webpage, you would find the finance career cluster webpage, and you would contact the career cluster lead, and then you would discuss what you're thinking about doing for your program. You would send in an application to our office. We would hopefully approve it, and you would be off to the races. So that's how that is set up. What is a CTE program that we keep talking about? There are multiple different components of a CTE program, and they're all based on legislation. So all these different components. They deliver a progressive, coherent sequence of 3 or more courses, and these courses build upon each other. So you may start off with like an intro type course, and then as the student progresses, as does the learning level of the course. They provide technical skill proficiency, an industry-recognized credential, a certificate, or an associate's degree. So we're really looking at that credential that they may receive. We're looking at a post-secondary dual credit that they may get, or a certificate. This is what is one of the major parts of a CTE program. They include applied learning that contributes to the academic knowledge, technical employability, skills, work attitudes, etc. So that's where we're seeing the students doing that hands-on type of work when they're in the classroom. A CTE program has an advisory committee. You're working with members of the community, you're working with members of your school district, and you're working with members of industry to come together and at least 2 times per year take a look at the program, work on a special project for the program, take a look at curriculum, what are industry trends, etc. Question? Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. Right. You can definitely contact someone within our office, but most likely it would depend on how your scheduling is set up at your school. Block scheduling, year-long scheduling, that type of thing, yeah. Yep. We do have a career cluster lead for culinary. It's under the hospitality, so if you want to reach out to him, he would help you with that. So also a CTE program, it incorporates applied, contextual, cross-curricular, and interdisciplinary instructional techniques. This is where everybody's working together on a team. If the CTE teacher is assisted or can have some time to do co-curricular planning with a math teacher or a social studies teacher or a science teacher, that would greatly benefit the students, and they could all work together on what the students are learning and make it more real for them. It provides opportunities for the students to be involved in a career and technical student organization. Has anyone known, have an example of one of those? Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Skills USA is one of the 7 recognized career and technical student organizations that are out there for students to belong to. Usually the CTSO is specialized to the program itself. So there are 7. We have, like FBLA would be something you would see, Future Business Leaders of America. So if you had a finance or a business program, you would gravitate more towards that. We have DECA for marketing. Usually we see that for a marketing type program. But there are 7, and if you go to our website, you'll be able to get more information on all of the 7 that are available. And then finally, connections, yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Prepare students for entry-level employment or post-secondary degree in a specific pathway. So again, we're seeing it's not an either-or with CTE. It's an option, it's opportunity, and it's access. And that's what we stress with our CTE programs. This is a great chart because I think in the middle, and I believe this is strategically placed, this is where you see the importance of college advisement and high school guidance. It's right there in the middle because that is what facilitates the success of career and technical organizations. We see the foundation is built on legislation and policies, accountability, so that's all at the bottom. Professional development is intertwined all around. But if you look in the middle, that's where that important piece is. That's the piece that's highlighted, and that's everyone who's in this room. So career and technical education, lifelong learning, opportunity for our students to propel along a guided pathway, it all starts with the guidance and the advisement. Just to continue on a little bit more, we see sometimes people have confusion over what is the difference between a CTE program and a CTE program of study. A CTE program of study is an enhancement to a CTE program. It provides that post-secondary connection that students can receive while they're at the secondary level. And that's done through an articulation agreement, and we usually see a dual credit opportunity with that. So this CTE program of study, I think I said it before, it's a great recruitment tool for post-secondary institutions to get into the secondary level, to offer opportunities for students to continue on at a community college or at a four-year college even, so that the students know that they can succeed in college. And I think that's the most important part, is giving them that confidence that at that lower level that they can make it, that they can do it. So the importance of a program of study. We like to see that with the CTE program who has this articulation piece, that it's a seamless transition for the students, that the curriculum is aligned. Sometimes we see that the post-secondary institutions provide the secondary level with the curriculum. And the teachers are acting as adjunct professors of the college, and they're teaching the college curriculum to the students. You can't get better than that. It provides students with opportunity to earn college credit, and it includes articulation agreement or memorandum. So really important for our students just to know that they can succeed. And I love this slide. Lori developed this slide for our office, and I guess I'm taking control of her data piece, but this is the total number of students who are earning college credit in New Jersey. Right now, the total number is 8,000 students. So give yourselves a big hand. That is, that's incredible. And you're giving these students the jump that they need to succeed. The other encouraging piece is we went over what New Jersey's 7 key industries are. One of those key industries is health science. Look at this chart. Look at the number of students who are earning college credit in health science, right? Over 2,000 students in health science. So those students, once they, move on from high school to post-secondary, they get that associate's degree, they're ready. They're ready to enter the workforce right away, and hopefully they continue along their pathway in health science, right? We want to encourage that piece of lifelong learning. We don't want it to stop. How can this all happen, right? All of this happens with the help of Carl D. Perkins grant. And Carl D. Perkins is a grant that is provided by the federal government. We distribute the grant funds as a state to our districts with the purpose to develop more fully the academic, career, and technical skills of secondary and post-secondary students who elect to enroll in career and technical education programs. So this grant really provides, the help that our districts and our community colleges need for our students to move along the pathway in CTE. So with that,
I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things that we found in terms of non-traditional and gender. So this quote here, it's imperative in career planning that people, regardless of their gender, are allowed to follow their dreams utilizing their interests and skills. Within our office, we have the Career Equity Resource Center. Has anybody, this is called CERC, has anybody had an opportunity to be in a presentation with Charlotte Gray? What do you think? Share some. Yeah, so we definitely need to have her talk to all of you. So she is available to school districts that have secondary and post-secondary programs in career technical education. She's funded by the Perkins Grant. I know she has been to numerous community colleges, but I think what's happening, she's probably speaking to the people that are working on Perkins. So when I get back to her, I want to make sure that when she talks to community colleges to set up future presentation, that she asks that they include people from their advisement center. Because there's a lot of information that she presents, I think that would be very helpful to you. Her contact information is there, and again, at the end, we have a general email, so you can email us and ask questions, and we share things with you as well. So I am not Charlotte. Charlotte knows this information like the back of her hand, but I'm going to take you through a couple things that she did want me to highlight because she's not able to be here today. Non-traditional careers, it's where the gender comprises 25 or less of the total U.S. employment. We really want to stress that, I think all of you as counselors and advisors know that all students are able to do this. And the National Center for Education Statistics compiles a list of the non-traditional occupations. It matters because students need to be aware of their options when selecting courses. If the female students are only thinking that they can be teachers, that limits them. They're not thinking about engineering. If the male student's thinking, well, I don't want to be a teacher, I just want to be an engineer. It's really trying to get people to realize, show them some different role models. Like Kathy said, if you can't see it, you can't be it. We need to show males that are working in non-traditional and vice versa for females. We do have a lack of STEM in the state, so we actually need to make sure we increase participation of females. It's a countrywide issue, otherwise we're not going to be able to meet the need of our economy, of our global economy for that. So in terms of the post-secondary advisors, these are some of the barriers that we have here. They talk about support services. These are students that may be dropping out of post-secondary. They don't have support services throughout their experience at the college. They don't have any support from the faculty counselors or any other students. They're not really welcome when they go to the classroom. Financial assistance, they just don't have the money. They might have the money for that first semester, but then when they get there, it's a really big challenge for them to continue on. Also, they don't have the support. They might be the first in their family going to college. They might be surrounded by friends who are also the first in the families going to college, so they're really not sure what to do. So you have people not knowing, talking to other people not knowing, it kind of gets that group think, and then they're really not sure. And they don't see role models, so they don't see anybody looking successful. So for those that are at the community college, what do you do to address some of the barriers? Do you recognize the barriers? You think these, or do you have different barriers not listed? No barriers at all? Huh?
Well, we recognize them, and what we do is we run some programs to try to heighten awareness. Typically at our schools, males in nursing would be a real non-traditional career path. I think the bigger challenge truly is the women in the STEM career paths. So we have a career day that is planned before the end of the semester to try to bring that information up. Here are people who are doing the work, and you can ask them questions about what their path has.
Right, that's great, thank you. And you want us to have examples of what they do in their campus to address barriers? Yes.
We're supportive. We actually work with New Jersey Transit now, so we have transportation. So we're running actually bus systems through our campuses, as well as more than a couple times a day, weekends, evenings, and that's been very helpful.
That's great, right, that is great because the students are juggling a lot. So that just to be in school, they're might be working 2 jobs, they have family to take care of, so it is a big struggle. So the fact that you were able to assist with transportation would be great. In terms of the welcoming environment, students that are coming that are limited English proficient, if they're on a campus, they don't know anyone, they might go back to their native language if they're not comfortable. I can't remember the name of the college, but Charlotte had told me that there actually is a college that keeps a track of all their students and professors by their what they have, the comprehension and the language. So if they have a student that comes, they're able to match them up so that person can do a better transition for that student to make them feel that they have some support on the campus. Again, the role models is very, very important for both secondary and post-secondary. So exposing them, like the career fair on campus, to non-traditional, and also seeing it in different recruitment materials as well, just to make sure that they're actually seeing things and they actually know that that's a future for them. Just come back to post-secondary. Another thing that we have, you're having the student who's leaving high school, that might be probably some of the people that you're serving. If that student's not focused in high school, they're coming to post-secondary, they're still not focused. So it's very important to find ways to tell them, to encourage them to come visit an advisor. A lot of times students don't want to come. So we have to find ways to do outreach, to see different ways that we can come up to think of to get those students into seeing someone, because they just have no direction, and that causes them to drop out. So there are a lot of different barriers here. Charlotte goes throughout the state. She hears of a lot of great things, and she would be more than willing to come out to talk, again, to the advisors at the secondary or post-secondary level. She talks about equity in career and technical education, microaggressions, where she talks about all the little things that could be actually not encouraging students to move forward with different things. So she's an excellent presenter, and I wish she were here, but she just couldn't be here today. In New Jersey, we have the New Jersey Student Learning Standards for Secondary Education, and our office is in charge of Standard 9 and career ready practices, but everything we do, everything's in alignment. So when we talk about the career ready practices, this really covers those soft skills and workforce development, what the businesses are saying. Students can't do this. They're saying adults can't do it. Basically, there's not a lot of people that are meeting these needs of being team players, knowing how to communicate effectively. So we call them practices because this is not something that we know it's a lifelong commitment. So it's like, well, why don't they know this? We can't. It's a lifelong commitment. You have people in different levels. I'm sure we all have encountered people, no matter how old we are, you're just like, do you not know how to work in a team? So it's a constant thing that we deal with. But we try to integrate. We let teachers know there's a lot of these things that you're already doing. Counselors know there's a lot of things like this that they're already doing. So just trying to find the way that everything relates to each other. Again, this just really focuses on all the things that are in demand. Every meeting I know that Kathy and I go to, we could talk to college presidents, industry presidents, people at the one-stops, people at the school level. There's really this focus on what are we going to do to include these skills, and that's why CTE is important, because they can do structured learning experiences in high school. They can do internships at the post-secondary level. So there's ways to get them more exposure. My oldest niece is 18, and when I ask her to pick up the telephone to call anybody, why can't you call? Like, I'm not calling because you need to learn how to talk on the phone. So it's very challenging. They're so into texting, they're fearful of talking on the phone, which before my dad would be like, get off the phone. When I was younger, all we did was talk on the phone. But they don't want to, she does not, and she's like, please. And I'm like, no. So she hates me for it, but I keep pushing her. So if you want something, you need to figure out a way to communicate what you need. Otherwise, the people who do know, they're going to have that and you won't. NJCAN is a free system that we have. It's sponsored by the Department of Education. Labor and Workforce Development information is in it as well. So it's Career Credentials is another website that the state has, but New Jersey CAN is great for as a middle school section, a high school section, also a post-secondary section. So on the website, it's njcan.org. When you go onto that website, you can email, there's a pslp@doe.state.nj.us, and can actually show you about setting up an account. But if you go to njcan.org, you can actually sign in with just your zip code to get an idea of the different features. But for high school counselors especially, just wanted to let you know that we have a whole section focused on scholarships available just for New Jersey students. It's updated annually. It's a free resource, and NJCAN is free. Many people you're paying for Naviance and Career Recruiter. NJCAN is free. So if you're looking for a way to save some money at your district, or they're telling you have to make some cuts, think of NJCAN as another opportunity for what you need to do for your students. Again, many paths, one future. We're all committed to this. And I think another thing, too, when we do put the email up for questions you may have, if you have anything that you want to provide for feedback or things ideas that you have, because we're a lot of times in the office, we don't get into the field as much as we would like. So just as students or teachers may not have that industry knowledge, sometimes we need to hear that feedback to see what actually schools need and community colleges need as well.
We're getting close to our time, so I want to make sure I leave some time for Lori to speak in regards to recruitment of students. So I'm just going to rather briefly go over career pathways, right? This is what we're hearing about, career pathways. This is our future, many paths, one future. And how is it all connected? It's connected through career pathways. New Jersey has adopted a definition, its own definition for what a career pathway is. It's in the WIOA state plan for the state of New Jersey. So if you have the opportunity and you're really interested in what's behind career pathways, I have that written up on the overhead. Also, another great resource for learning about career pathways is the Career Pathways Toolkit. And this was developed by the U.S. Department of Labor. So if you just Google Career Pathways Toolkit, U.S. Department of Labor, it will come up. It's like a 70-something page long document, but it has fabulous information in it, including graphics, etc., for you to really get the background on what career pathways are and why we're headed in this direction. As far as New Jersey is concerned, it's a series of education and training experiences resulting in industry-valued credentials leading to employment. What is an industry-valued credential? Does anyone have an example of what that might be? An industry-valued credential. Yes, like an LPN. Anyone else? Industry-valued credential. Yes, in the back. Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. We're talking about these stackable credentials that a learner will receive a certificate for and put on their resume to take to an employer to say, I am an expert in this. I have a credential in this. And it opens so many doors for them, and it will really lead them along the continuum of a career pathway. a post-secondary degree, an associate's degree. This is what we're talking about, is how we can lead someone from point A to point B, C, or D, right? Promotion and or advanced education. Career pathways are industry focused, very important. We're including industry with our career pathways because they are the trendsetters, right? We need to bring them into our educational field so that we can learn from them. They have diverse entry and exit points. A person can enter a career pathway at multiple points. It can be from high school. It can be from the military. It can be a displaced worker. You know, all different types of entry points and multiple exit points. Somebody may exit at a certificate level. Someone may exit at an associate's degree level. So what we're trying to do is just build that learning continuum and for our learners. This is a graphic, and I know it's rather convoluted, but this is the graphic that has been provided to us from the U.S. Department of Labor that explains a career pathway. We see that there are, on this graphic, there are 5 different entry points, and there are multiple exit points. The part that I think is the most important is the part in the middle, and that's where the counselors come into play. Because it's through this part in the middle, it's through education, it's through counseling, it's through support services that people can move from point A to point B. And they also have to know how to do it, right? How do you get there? And that's why that middle point of the arrow is so important.
So the future of CTE, what we're focused on in our office, again, is making sure that we're, everyone's not tall. Making sure that we're going to be supporting our career advisement, increasing our programs and participation. We need to make sure the champions, those who are in CTE, know the value of CTE, the students of CTE, really start to share that success. So what happens is we have people still thinking of the old, and it's not the old anymore, it's the new. It is academy. So when someone says an academy, again, that's CTE. You're taking these high-performing courses, secondary and post-secondary level, and you're actually meeting a really great goal. But we know that in terms of reaching this goal, what can we do? How are we going to make sure that we are promoting CTE? That's how we're going to reach the goal. And I'm going to turn it over to Lori Perlow to go over some different recruitment strategies that she does at Mercer County Tech.
Take it down a little bit. Vertically challenged here. Good morning, everyone. It's almost afternoon time. I'm the admissions officer and community liaison at Mercer County Technical Schools, and I just want to share some of the things that we do in Mercer to recruit students. First and foremost, about 4 years or so, we moved from a paper application to an online application. And you heard earlier this morning the word access. And that's one of the main reasons why we converted. And it's not just about access. At first, of course, we heard, some of the sending school counselors and others saying, do you still have that paper application? And we did for about a year, transition. But at the end of the day, what we needed to also communicate and value is the use of technology. When high school students or college students are going to apply for jobs, how are they doing that? They're not doing it with a piece of paper anymore, right? They're going online, they're filling out an online application, they may be uploading a paper, a Word document that has their resume in it, but really we need to utilize those technology skills even from that very, very early starting point of filling out the application. Okay. For our shared time programs, which is what I want to focus on first, we have a rolling admissions process. So the online application portal typically opens in late August or early September, and from that point, all throughout the school year, we are receiving applications, reviewing them, and admitting students for the following school year. Now, our shared time programs, and I don't know how it is in all of the counties, but for us, they are for students in 11th and 12th grade. So typically, we're targeting 10th graders so that they can actually complete those 2-year programs. We do have one shared time program that's a 1 year. It gives students a little bit of flexibility. They can do it in junior year or senior year. But for the most part, we're targeting 10th graders for those 2-year programs, junior, senior year. We usually have programs that start filling up very early. So the portal might open in August or September, but by November, can you guess which of our programs, and I know you don't realize what they all are, but you saw some of those earlier slides with all the different career clusters and programs. Any thoughts on which program area or cluster might fill up first? Healthcare, bingo! We have 2 shared time programs. We have a health occupations program, which is the 1-year sort of overview program, and then a health and child care program, 2 years, both early childhood development and health. And yes, those are the 2 programs that fill up first, and then we start our waiting lists. And then, you know, it varies from there. But it's usually those science-based programs that fill up first, which is not too surprising. And also aligned with occupational outlook data. If you look at that and pay attention to that, you see where all of the growth is. But what's really important for us is, of course, how we're reaching the students and how we're communicating what it is that we offer. In talking about the new vision for CTE, what it looked like in the 80s, what it looks like today, it's so very different. But I have to say, there are still a lot of parents, students, and even some counselors. It shocks me, but there are some that are out there that still believe that CTE is for students who are not planning to go to college, and it's simply not true. You heard enough from Kathy and from Lori about how that's so different today, so I don't want to drive that message home, but you can see from the branding that I have on the table, and you can take a look at it at the end of the presentation, the way we message our programming is so important. The way our website looks, the way our recruitment materials look, the way our videos are set up. You have to be able to message in a way that clearly articulates what it is that we're offering. And we've gotten some very positive feedback from the counselors that we work with saying, you know, we're so glad you revised this or that because it helps me to communicate your offerings to parents or students who don't necessarily believe this is the right direction that a student should be heading in. When we do our in-school recruitment, it's usually me in a PowerPoint, but I don't talk for a very long time. I give the message short, sweet, to the point. I show a video with our students and with our teachers because that's usually the introductory point for a student to, you know, to learn about CTE. And when it's possible, I like to bring students with me. Sometimes it's at that initial point or sometimes it's afterward as kind of a follow-up session, but when we have that peer-to-peer interaction, we try to do as much of that as we can. It's really helpful. And at the same time, it really elevates the student who's in the CTE program to go back into their school environment in their uniform. So you saw that photo of the, I think it's pharmacy tech students. So, you know, we do a lot of culinary demos, right? Kids love to eat. So we'll send our students out, they're in their chef whites, and they're there with all of the materials that they need and all on their own, they're presenting, they're demonstrating, and it's really a wonderful opportunity for the students to show what they learn, but for their peers who are on the other side to see what's possible, and that's so, so important. We've also started something new called career chats. So we do so much of our recruitment early in the school year, and as you know, in the fall, sometimes students just aren't ready to think about the following year. They're still getting situated in the current school year, but just given the timeline, we try to get out as early as we can, usually October, November, and then come January, February, March, when scheduling is actually taking place, we want to refresh the students and remind them about what the options are to consider. Again, keeping in mind, some of those programs could already be full and then they don't have the same opportunity to participate. So we do want to go back and kind of do a round 2. The career chats, they're usually led by one of our instructors. And of course, our instructors come from industry, so they have a wealth of experience to share and knowledge to share. And we provide some handouts that give some general program information, but we also like to include occupational outlook data. What talks to students? What resonates with them? Usually earning potential, right? How much can I earn in this particular field, right? Can I sustain my family? Can I have a life? And then, you know, what skills are needed? What qualities do I need to possess? If I'm working in healthcare and I don't like to touch people, that's a problem, right? If you're going into the field of cosmetology and you're an introvert and you don't like to talk to people, that's a problem. So it's good for students to be aware of that, and those resources are available to you. We like to promote that information to our counselors in Mercer County, but you can find it online as well. And it's really important as you're advising students to make sure you share that information with them so that you don't encourage them to go down a career path that may not be suitable for them. We always want to set students up for success. That goes without saying. So even though they may have their own perception of a particular industry, you may know otherwise, and that's really important. Next, going back to the access piece, evening information sessions. So we used to do a really big open house event, usually the end of January, early February, and again, it's just too late. It's not well timed. So what we do now is in the fall, we offer a series of evening information sessions, and this is really an opportunity for parents to come out and learn about the programs that we have to offer. They're not with us for more than an hour or so, but it's a really nice way to answer questions, dispel myths, and share all of the positives of being involved in CTE and having their students come into our programs, because they often just don't know, right? They don't know what we have to offer, and they're usually very excited and much more informed when they walk out of our doors. A student ambassador program is something else that we added last year. So I used to lead the tours. We would bring student groups from the high schools after I went to visit them first with that initial recruitment presentation. The next step is that they come to our school, tour, see all of the programs, get a sense for what it's like. And I used to lead those tours. And then I sat back and I thought, you know what? This doesn't make a lot of sense. We need to get our students, our currently enrolled students, leading these tours, much like you do in a post-secondary world, right? You have a lot of students working with you in your admissions offices. We needed to do the same thing because, that, again, that peer-to-peer interaction is so important. So it was a wonderful leadership opportunity for our current students. We gave them special T-shirts. They knew they had a leadership role in the school. They welcomed it. It worked out very well. Another key piece that's very important for us is transportation, right? Everybody is so budget conscious. Field trips, unfortunately we can't do them as often as we'd like, but our district has one school bus, and so with some advanced planning, we will be able to send our buses out to bring those student groups to us, and again, that goes back to access. So we heard earlier somebody associates CTE with academies, and Mercer was among the last of the counties in New Jersey to introduce a full-time academy, but we have caught up very quickly. We started off with our Health Science Academy in, I think it was September 2010, roughly. That was when I came on board in this role. And since then, we've also added a STEM Academy, which was through a partnership grant from the New Jersey Department of Ed, and that academy is actually housed on the college campus at Mercer. So Mercer County Community College gives us space for that academy, and the students love it. Of course, that was kind of a newer concept, and so at first we weren't sure how well received that would be. Would parents be concerned about that? Would they be excited about that? But I have to say it's been an amazing experience. When we were notified of that grant in April, we had a few months to ramp up and do our recruitment, and I can very clearly remember a very stormy July night when we were hosting an info session for the STEM Academy, and I have to tell you, it was in one of our largest physics labs, which is actually for the Health Science Academy, but it was our largest space. We had standing room only in that room that night, and it speaks to a lot of things. First of all, parents were not concerned about their high school students being on the college campus, but more importantly, STEM. And Lori spoke of it earlier, the importance, and I'm actually pleased to say that we only have 2 grades, of course, right now because it's so new. We have 9th and 10th graders there, but in that very first class, we were actually primarily, we had female students admitted into that program, and it's just the way things shook out. We've also, that looking at non-traditional fields and things like that is something that we're very in tune with and very aware of, and so we try to push that at any opportunity that we have. The Academy of Culinary Arts is our newest academy. We just launched that this year. It's at our SciPEC Center. And culinary arts for us, and I heard somebody else inquiring about it, that's always been one of our most popular programs. But a couple of things just in general about our academies, and I don't know how it works in each of your counties where you are, but we try to make it really clear to counselors and to parents and to students that we're not looking only for the best and brightest for our academies. We really do take a wide range of students into all of our academies, and that's something that we're very aware of. And in particular, when I think of the Academy of Culinary Arts, you know, it's a very different demographic than the students who are more attracted to STEM or more attracted to health science, and it's important that we're able to meet the needs of all of our students and all of their varied interests. Recruitment for the academies is a little bit different. That's all very focused in the fall of the student's 8th grade year. So we do as much as we can to get out into the middle schools, because when we have that direct contact with the students, that's obviously most important. We usually have, you know, an adult from the admissions office who is there doing their recruitment presentation, not always me. And again, when possible, we try to bring a student with us so that they can share their perspective as well. For the academies, again, students in 8th grade have a big decision to make between going to the high school in their hometown or going to an academy program. Okay, and they're very different. And we're not trying to compete. We just want to offer something different. So we're very clear about the differences, and we know that we're not going to be a good fit for every student. But for those who have identified their interest in a particular career, the academies can be a wonderful experience. We also have to drive home, of course, the message that, you know, we're a public school too. Sometimes parents ask, are you a public school? Do I have to pay tuition for this? No, you don't, and that's the good news. We happen to also attract a lot of students who are coming out of private schools and parents who want to look for something that has a similar feel to the private school that their child was in previously. So that's kind of interesting, but we have to align ourselves with the private schools in terms of their timeline, because often that's what parents are making decisions based on. You know, am I going to send my child to a private school? Am I going to send them to the county vocational school? Am I going to send them to the hometown high school? So lots of different decisions to make. We do offer those evening information sessions, of course, but the shadow days are really what's helpful, and something we introduced about 2 years ago, and we said, you know what, the evening information sessions are great, but it doesn't give the student enough information to really decide if this is going to be a good fit. And we only want to accept students who we know are going to stay with us. And from time to time, we might have 1 or 2 that go back and realize it's not a good fit, but we want to give them as many opportunities as we can to come and explore and make sure that they feel good about the choice that they're making. So the shadow days are an opportunity for the student to spend about 3 or so hours with us, sit in on a couple of classes, maybe even have lunch and socialize with the students. And we try, when possible, to match them up with somebody from their town. We feel that that's very helpful. And we've had a wonderful response from the shadow days because, again, you know, we're not trying to compete with the comprehensives. We have something different to offer, and we just want students to know exactly what that looks like so that they can make a good choice. We do information sessions during the day and in the evening. During the day, typically in the schools, in the evening, again, with parents. Some middle schools will allow us to come into their buildings in the evening as well, which is always very convenient for parents. Again, it goes back to access. And middle school career days. We know that a lot of middle schools are hosting events, and we're a wonderful resource for that. So there are a few middle schools in our county that know each year to reach out, and we try to provide them with as many instructors as we can that we can send out and educate their students. Because again, you've heard some of the words like pipeline, right? It can't really start in high school. It has to start a little earlier, and we're very, very much aware of that. So whenever we're invited to a middle school career day event, we're there. I'll talk a little bit about the post-secondary programs that we offer at Mercer County Technical Schools, and as it relates to recruitment. It's not necessarily my area of expertise, but it's something that I think is important to share for both secondary and post-secondary counselors who are here. The recruitment for the post-secondary programs looks very different. So they still utilize the online application system for access, but there are very specific timeframes. So we have adult evening programs in a wide range of areas, and then we also have a post-secondary health career center, which is a little more focused. But again, all of which are post-secondary programs. The main struggle that we have here is that most of the students that we have in our post-secondary programs are usually career changers. So there, in our Health Career Center, for example, the average age of a student there is about 35, and they're predominantly female. So the challenge that we run into as a public school is that we have very limited budget, right? So we can't pay to advertise as much as we would like to in order to reach our post-secondary students. So there's certainly some challenges there that we run into. But of course, we do utilize our partnerships with the high schools in the area. And of course, our business partnerships are very important. The Mercer County One Stop Center, we have a wonderful relationship there, and they very often will refer their clients to us. We do in-school recruitment, of course, for these programs, but again, the average age is so much higher that a lot of times students aren't necessarily interested in our post-secondary programs when they're coming out of high school. So that's a bit of a challenge, and we're trying to address that by hosting some shadow days that would be targeted to the high school students so they can better understand what opportunities are available for them through the post-secondary offerings that we have. And just to sort of wrap up, again, my focus in my role is really to focus on outreach and access. So perception is number one, and that relates directly to the outreach piece of things. So freshening up our marketing materials, making sure that they look good, that they're attractive, that somebody's not going to look and toss. We want them to see and, engage. So again, as I mentioned before, I have a variety of materials on the front table up here you're welcome to come and take a look at. There's some goodies that you can take away. Oftentimes when I do student presentations, if I ask the students questions, we'll give them a little giveaway so you can get a sense of what's there, things that high school students really like, chapstick and some other things. But again, increasing access is really the most important thing. Also, and I don't know how many of you have this in your counties, but we have always put a lot of time and attention into building relationships with our counselors in the home high schools. So every home high school in the county of Mercer has an identified liaison counselor. So somebody that we meet as a group, but somebody that we meet with on a monthly basis, usually from October until May. And this is a great way for us to have a lot of two-way communication. So one example of that was that we were seeing a decline in a particular program that we could not wrap our heads around. Was our landscaping program, actually. And we know we have an amazing teacher. The curriculum is up to date. The kids have an amazing time when they're there. They're outside. They're working. We know there's great earning potential. It's none of those things. We could not wrap our heads around what was happening with this program and why we're struggling each year to fill it. And so I finally said to one of our liaisons, "What do you think it is?" And she said, "It's the name. There are some negative perceptions that come along with the name for this program." And it was like, oh, that was such a light bulb moment for us. And so, of course, we very quickly, consulted with the instructor, consulted with administration, and guess what? We've already board approved a new name that we hope will be more appealing to the students, and it involves turf care management. So landscaping is still in it, but turf care management has a different appeal. And again, we talk about perception, vocational education in the 80s, CTE today, you have to be able to catch up in every area, and that was certainly not something that was on our radar, but important. So the liaison relationships are very important. We also do a couple of events, one in October, which is a big admissions update. I spoke earlier about our culinary program. We have an amazing program, and I'm proud to say a wonderful reputation that our students have developed for the district. We often host DOE events at our school and lots of other events because people love what our students are producing. And so we have a big admissions update where we invite all of the counselors and case managers from the county to come and get all of the updates for the year in October. And then usually in February for CTE month, we have another large event. So getting the counselors to our buildings is really important too. A district tour is another great way, and if this is something that is not offered in your county, I would certainly encourage you to reach out and ask for it. But what we were finding was that counselors hadn't been to our buildings, and so they didn't really know what was happening there. They might hear from their students or otherwise, but they really needed to come and see. And so we actually host every fall a one-day district tour. We provide transportation, we provide lunch. The counselors get to see both of our sites plus our post-secondary building. We wrap the wrap. And it's a great way for them to get out and to better advise and counsel their students, which is super important. And by the way, they all come back asking if we're hiring. So they really like what they see, and it's a wonderful, wonderful environment. I know that we have to wrap, so just a couple of other quick things. You know, advertising, obviously direct mail, print ads, radio and TV when budget allows, things that we do, billboards as well, social media, something super, super important. We have to always get those stories about what's happening in our buildings out into the community. It's great if you know what's happening in your building, but that's not really what matters. Everybody else needs to know. So if you're not utilizing social media, use it. And if you're not connected to your county vocational schools, get connected, okay? But the last thing that I just want to leave you with, which is something that I learned early on and something that's been confirmed for me as a parent of school-age children, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how much money we spend on advertising or how many events we have each year that we think are wonderful and fabulous. At the end of the day, if you're delivering wonderful programs, your parents and your students are going to do the marketing for you, and it's that word of mouth, because when you hear from somebody you trust about a program that is successful, that you think will be good for your child, and you've got that trust established, guess what's going to happen? They're going to move forward on it, and we hear that all the time. So with that, turn things back over to Lori. Thank you so much.
Thanks again. Those are a lot of great ideas there that can be relevant for post-secondary and secondary, but I think it really goes down to marketing, reaching your audience, knowing what your audience's needs are. So promoting CTE is important. So for post-secondary and secondary that are here, just encourage you to reach out in your respective counties to the different schools. You need to know opportunities to work together. Everybody's there. If you can't find the person at the school, feel free to email us, and we'll find that person for you. It's really about the pathways Kathy had mentioned, and also use that career cluster framework, because it's 16 career clusters, 79 career pathways, and every different occupation is covered. Turn to remembering when you're doing the recruitment plan, think of your audience, what's going to motivate that audience to make some change. Also think about barriers and obstacles that you have to overcome. Think of different ideas today. So anyone can use social media. Work with your admissions officer at the post-secondary level. I'm not sure what the relationships are in each county or each different community college or higher institute of higher ed, but admissions relates to advise, connects to advisement, and also making connections with secondary also helps your recruitment. When friends of mine were in programs in high school and they did things with colleges, the majority of them went to that college. That's where they decided to continue their career. So sorry to rush real fast. If you got thrown off time. Does anybody have any questions? Yes?
You mentioned that one of the initiatives is to educate not just a young person, but also their families. So my question to you is, what is the plan for CTE to be able to educate parents whose main language is Spanish? For example, STEM.
So can you just tell me where you're from and what, I'm just trying to...
College, I represent New Brunswick Center. We work in the city of New Brunswick. A lot of our parents are Spanish speakers. So I try talking about underrepresented minorities and the importance of STEM education, etc. We're trying to educate them, but we could use more resources in Spanish. So I'm wondering if you can comment about that.
Yeah, so in terms, you work with high schools and colleges? Okay, so for the high schools, I think if they're having a student event, see if they have a translator or a teacher that could assist you at that event. I know they have societies, Hispanic engineers, they have different societies targeted to different populations that could assist you. So I think in terms of doing outreach at the school, figuring out if there's someone at that school that can assist you, if not, maybe reaching out to industry. Because if you need someone to speak in a native language, you might have to reach out to professional organizations. So if you email us, I can tell you some more ideas. But I really think it's... Oh, yes, we're actually being audited at the State Department of Ed, just to bring that up. Yeah, so with accessibility, that's something what we have to fix. So we have to do accessibility issues in terms of people not being able to see things or read things, so that you'll probably be seeing that shortly in terms of things are going to be updated and placed into different languages. Sorry, I couldn't hear it. Sure.
With this push for CTE in traditional comprehensive high schools, how does that interact with vocational?
Well, Yeah, it's all really the same. We want students to have opportunities to experience career technical education programs. So whether they choose a county voc school or a comprehensive high school, the quality and the rigor is supposed to be same amongst both of the different schools. County vocs, depending on what county you're in, they might offer different types of programs. So it's really, one's not supposed to be seen as better than the other. Everything that we're doing, increasing rigor throughout our programs, goes for the county vocational schools as well as our comprehensive schools. That's why there was a decline in our enrollment numbers throughout the years, and we really have been focusing on getting that rigor. So it's not supposed to be where you're going here, you're getting a less than career and technical education program. You go to the county voc, you're getting better than. It really, you have to see, like, all the county vocs, just, you know, they might have better resources to have a STEM program, whereas the comprehensive high schools a lot of times have more business, management, and administration, marketing, and finance programs. We may not find that at the county voc, but it's really having the opportunity for students, no matter where they live, to actually find something that works for them. But it's not an either or. You're welcome.
Do you have any PowerPoint curriculum programs that are translated? Because getting translators for programs for parents is time intensive, and when you get them out in the evening, it takes a lot of time. And we lose them because of the fact that the translations are very lengthy. And I think that's what that speaker was alluding to.
Yeah, and I could definitely bring those concerns back to the department, so it's great to hear that feedback. Thank
I am sorry that we have to get
Can you answer?
moving, but we know that lunch is going to be coming in. So maybe you can meet and talk individually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you
So,
so much.
we
Sorry
wanna-
again. Thank you.